If you need a zucchini, you get a zucchini. You get a carrot, you dice it up.
If you need a zucchini, you get a zucchini. Okay.
Fuck. The recipe also said that I should let it sit in the fridge for 3 to 4 days. So thank goodness we had a DeLorean and I was able to go back 3 or 4 days.
A lot of people don't have that, but luckily we just bought a freaking bird. This could be like the greatest day of my life or possibly the beginning of the end.
This could be the trip to the emergency room.
Absolutely. Jesus Christ. You see the crucifix in her hoo-hoo? Oh my God. Where did you graduate from? Towson University. Hey, nothing wrong with it. Why would there be anything wrong with it? Dickhead. Yeah.
Our future interview this week is with
red leather, yellow leather, red leather. The way I interpret that shit is in the words of Lemmy, bless you, my son, even though you're an asshole. 3 black hearts of damnation and impurity. And Jerry.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
I felt like this was just too subtle. I wanted to be a little low key with my wardrobe choice this week. So,
figure probably by the time this comes out, it will be 2023.
Yes, it will.
Almost there.
Tonight is New Year's Eve. Third time this week.
That's what it always feels like during Christmas,
there.
with like you get all off schedule and you don't know what day it is, and the trash schedule changed, so that's screwed.
They picked the worst day to change the trash schedule. The day after Christmas, or the pickup after Christmas. That's what they're like. You know what? Let's make it on Friday. I took a walk through the neighborhood. There was just trash piled everywhere. Everybody was like, "Take this shit." Just a little bit of a jest from the sanitation department, I guess.
So I would like to take this time to introduce our lab.
Yeah.
This is our. I don't know if we've named him yet. I guess he must be Edgar.
I like that.
Yeah. With since Edgar Allan Poe, it was the inspiration, of course, for the Baltimore Ravens, because every poet hopes at some point he's going to get a football team named after him.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do have mascots Edgar Allan Poe, and Baltimore has claimed Edgar Allan Poe, even though he was not born here. He died here, therefore he's ours. I guess it's a little weird.
We actually did have Frank Zappa, but he got the fuck out of town because Baltimore's climate was not asthma friendly for him. His father actually worked at Edward Proving Ground.
Oh.
Yeah. Edward Proving Ground, I think. But yeah, Zappa couldn't wait to get out of Baltimore, and he moved to the desert in LA. Or the desert, I'm sorry. He moved to the desert in California.
Yeah. Much drier.
Much drier, yeah.
But they actually have a little, I've always wanted to take you on it. We've never done it. They do, down in Baltimore, they do a Fells Point Ghost Walk, which actually happens all year, even though it gets very popular in October. You can they take you around to different haunted taverns and bars. And
is there someone to fight off the aggressive panhandling in Fells Point? Because that's what I don't want.
Don't really bother the tour groups, because we're usually
I would hope not. They bother everybody.
They're usually they're dressed up. They can show you where the old prostitution houses are on Alexander Street, which are also very haunted. Okay. And also they can show you the gutter where Edgar Allan Poe died. So we got that going for us. Yay, Baltimore. And our lovely Edgar Bird.
Yes. We need Patreon help. I'm going into hock with all these cool items. Yeah.
Had to have him, though.
Yeah. Well, once we got rid of the major reward, or packed it away, I was like, we gotta have a light here. I mean, you need something. Anywho, so this show, I thought I would bring something up that I was thinking about the other day. The people that give you left-handed compliments.
Sure.
Like I used to work with this woman that had the most amazing talent in offering up compliments that somehow made you feel bad about yourself. Like you'd be like, "Oh, thank you," and then you take 2 steps and go, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, that's called like a left-handed compliment. That's what I was.
There's a sort of dark art involved in dishing out compliments that are actually insults. So I gave this a lot of thought this week. All right. And Stace and I came up with some really good ones. So here you go. So the first grouping of left-handed compliments, we're going to call that the limiter. Okay. The way the limiter works is The first half of the sentence is nice, but they can't leave well enough alone. They have to put the limiter, the tack on at the end. For example, Mark, your presentation was really interesting. I mean, considering how dry the subject matter was. See that? See that jab? You relax and then they get you in the second half. I really like your car, Mark. It's just so cute and sporty. Well, I mean, for a Nissan.
Well, I had a boss call my Fiat a roller skate.
It did look like a roller skate. It really did. I think that was pretty good, actually. So, I mean, it even like kind of tapered at the top where you could put a foot in. Yeah. Yeah. That is a good one. I mean, I must say, you're one of the funniest people I've met. Well, and in this department anyway.
Right, which has 2 people in it.
Yeah. Yeah. The next one's you.
You really look great for having 3 children. Are they all by the same man?
That's so
This was
rude.
actually spoken to me
That is so fucking rude.
by someone I was waiting on.
So nice, you get the idea. So there's the limiter. Yeah. Now we're going to move on to the next grouping, which is the pointed question technique. Sounds caring, but it's actually insulting. So here's an example. They're at a dinner party or something. Wow, you've definitely lost some weight, Mark. Is everything okay health-wise? So sort of, not that you're working out, implying that you have cancer, basically. So you do the next one.
Oh, so you don't want to drink? Is there some kind of problem we should be aware of?
I was actually asked that by a work colleague at a dinner I didn't want to be at.
I was just at that lunch. It was a
That you didn't want to be at.
I didn't want to have a drink because I still wanted to get my workout in.
It's fucking 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I didn't want to drink in the afternoon, and they made me feel like,
they were rounding up bottles of wine.
Are you okay? Why don't you have one? I don't want to drink right now.
And it sort of links into the next one, which is now where Stace works. They have food trucks sometimes, but we've talked about this in the show before. There's no restaurants. Anyway,
they're all closed.
They're all closed.
There was 3,
but they all closed during the pandemic, right? So I make sure she has food every day. I pack her lunch. Like it might not be fancy. It might just be like a quesadilla and some chips or whatever. But I always make sure she has food, right? One of the girls at her work said, "Your husband packed your lunch? Does Mark control what you eat?" And it all kind of starts to fit together where everything that I do that is nice, they kind of perceive as it's almost like a sleeping with the enemy kind of thing,
Well, it's kind of like in the morning, I'm not great at waking up or getting up, especially early. And we usually have to be up shortly after 6. And this looks fabulous right away. This takes some work. So while I'm working on this, you can
get lunch ready. Control what she's eating, basically. Yeah. So, all right, let's move on. So our next section is just flat out mean statements. And again, they're not straight ahead mean. They're the backhanded compliment. So here we go. Wow, chips for lunch. It's refreshing to see someone your age that's not afraid of heart disease.
Someone's on a health kick.
Oh, you're up.
Wow, a sport jacket. Not exactly your style. I bet you fished that out of the bottom of the closet.
That's a real one. That was actually said to me, but it was for a shirt. Yeah. So. And then what about the thing with John?
Oh, yeah. My ex-husband and I, when we were back in the service, we get along now, actually. But, back when there was still money involved, we were very passive aggressive with each other. It was just some weird stuff. Like we would have to get together because one of the children were moving, and he'd just look at me and say, "This is what you wear to move furniture." I guess some people just wear anything. The funny part about that day is I was trying to help her with the mattress, and he shooed me off. Like, he was the man, he was going to do the heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. So he took the part of the mattress that was walking backwards, and he tripped up the stair into the house backwards. Yes. Luckily, he just kind of sat down on his butt, but it was funny.
This woman that I'm talking about that was so good at this, just a little bit of background. She's blonde, and her husband is German, and all her kids are blonde with German accents. So I will once in a while ask her if she's been in The Sound of Music. So I was able to actually give it back to her one day, not realizing, I think I was on the phone or something. And she had on this sweater that was like white, and it was knit, and it had like little knit flowers all over it. V-neck. And I was really busy, and this other lady said, "Oh, that's a lovely blouse." And I looked up and said, "You look like you're from Vienna." Yeah. The hills are alive. Anyway, yeah.
What
So
about
that was a good, I actually got her back on that one.
I love your makeup and your perfume. Of course, I would never wear that.
Hey, pretty shirt. And you have something on your sleeve. And is that shirt inside out? Fuck.
How about I've gotten this. Are you super tired today, or are you just not wearing makeup?
Saying you're tired means you look old. And saying you look rested means you've had collagen. How about this one? So you're the receptionist. Is this a temporary thing? I assume this is a temporary thing.
No, it is not. I tried to move up in the world. It didn't work.
Well, I guess you'd call that shirt vintage. Oh, I love the next one.
This actually happened. I had rented a van to move, and I was moving. Just my boys and I were doing the heavy lifting. And he took one look at me and said, "Yep, here's a telephone books to sit on so you can see over the dash of your moving van." I literally had to sit on a telephone
I'm
book.
guessing this wasn't last week because telephone books are kind of hard to come by these days. Was it a real big one like the the old Baltimore City white pages?
Yeah.
We're all in landfill somewhere. Yeah.
I actually had a patient ask me for a phone book the other day. I'm like, yeah, I'll just Google it for you. It's fine.
Okay, and then the final category is, I call it offbeat comparisons and misremembering key details. These fall into the category of you just realize how little this person cares or thinks about you. For example, yeah, your stories remind me of my aunt's husband. He's in food service too. Or is it sanitation? Anyhow, he has to deal with the public like you do. Person has no fucking idea what you do. So you work at a daycare, correct? And Mark does, was it building security or something? She works for an ophthalmologist, and I do logistics. Building security.
Well,
but you know what? I would go, yeah, close enough. Yeah.
We were just talking about this morning, that as a woman, you are looked down on if you stay home with your kids, and you are looked down on if you go to work and put your kids in daycare.
It's a no-win.
You have to choose what's right for you, because either way, people are going to have comments like this.
How about this one? Where did you graduate from? Towson University. Hey, nothing wrong with it. Why would there be anything wrong with it? Dickhead. Yeah. Oh, how about this one?
Oh, we have this wonderful, slightly
effeminate.
Nah, he's flamboyant. He's a flamboyance.
He's a flamboyant.
Patient, and he, after finding out about my podcast on his very next visit, he said, "I listened to your podcast."
I don't know where to put that. What slot do I put that in? What fun? I assume it was good.
I guess he liked it.
How about this? Oh, you have a podcast? What is it, like a middle-aged gossip thing or something? Or remembering the 80s? Yeah, that's nice.
I actually had someone say this to me. "I'm surprised your driver's license picture is so bad." I was like, what?
I know who the person was too, and I'm not surprised to hear that. Yeah. Your daughter is beautiful. She doesn't look anything like you. Right, and the last one.
I get this all the time. "You run like outside? Oh, I guess you can't afford a gym."
All right. Well, this has been The Art of the Left-Handed Compliment with Mark and Stace. So why don't we talk about our feature interview?
Our feature interview this week is with the great Kristof Bathory, and I feel like he should have the great in front of his name.
His real name is Christopher Heath.
He is the mainstay of Los Angeles industrial metal band Dawn of Ashes. He's been the mastermind behind DOA, which is another fun way to think of the band.
He likes to be called Mastermind. Like he actually told me that, because I asked who's going to be in the interview, and he said just the Mastermind. So that's directly from you, Kristof. Go ahead.
But he's been doing this for close to 20 years now. The band has been rather prolific. They have quite a back catalog of 9 full-length records that run the gamut between industrial, agrotech, black metal, and always full of evil and horror and imagery. They have amazing costumes, scary makeup.
And he gives me some makeup tips.
Intense live shows.
He gives me some makeup tips, so I look forward to that. Yeah.
You know, so
The latest
they
record,
do not disappoint.
the latest record is called "Scars of the Broken." We've been spinning it almost nonstop around here lately.
You know, and I love how it's dark and the beat makes it kind of dancey.
Super dancey. Yeah,
But it's also so dark, and some of those drum beats, it's like gunshots. I can't get. It's amazing.
We'll play some of it for you later in the show, as well as the very cool talk we had with Kristof about the band's ups and downs and ultimately their staying power. So let's go back a few years. You want to introduce the song?
All right, so this is going back to Donna Bash's 2019 album, The Crypt Injection.
The Crypt Injection 2.
To start things off, this song is The Serpents of Eden.
Okay, let's talk about Patreon, which is packed with exclusive Snaggletooth content that you won't find anywhere else online. We just uploaded a Geek Out on Stacy's vintage Island of Misfit Toys Christmas ornament.
Don't be jealous, darling.
Oh, you can be jealous a little bit. I had a great time also. I did a thing on my top 10 punk rock guitar solos. And I'll tell you
really
what,
good.
I really got into it. It's great. And the only way you're going to get to see it is to go to patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcast and become one of our supporters. We need your support. We just bought a freaking bird.
We could always use your help keeping the show going, keeping the show real, keeping it better for you. We have great stuff ahead for our Patreons. I actually just ordered our first little bit of merch that is going to be also exclusive. So where do you get this exclusive content? Go over to our Patreon. What's the URL?
It's just patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcasts. And you know what I'm going to upload? I just realized this. This is our season 2 artwork. I have our season 3 artwork, and I'm going to put it on Patreon, and that's the only way you're going to see it. It's already ready. We probably won't roll it out for another 3-4 months, but you, subscriber, will get to see. And if you think this is a cool album parody, these are even better. So.
This season 1 and season 2 were done by the wonderful James Spooner. We have a brand new artist to bring to you for season 3.
Yes. That's all we'll say for now. Hush, hush. So let's get back to Donna Bash's. The album that this is from came out in 2020. It's called The Antimonium. And I wanted to know what that word means. And you know, an artist is impactful when they make you break out the frickin' dictionary, which I did.
And I consider myself pretty well read, and I had no idea what
Antimonium is.
Antimonianism.
Doctrine according to which Christians are freed by grace from the necessity of obeying the Mosaic law. The Antimoniums rejected the very notion of obedience as legalistic. To them, the good life flowed from the inner workings of the Holy Spirit. So,
what's Mosaic law? Is that like gluing
I think it's like
porcelain
I think
together?
It's like the 10 Commandments stuff.
Oh.
But the way I interpret that shit is in the words of Lemmy, bless you, my son, even though you're an asshole. So let's introduce the song. It's from the 2020 album, The Antimonium. This is Donna Bashis with Blood of the Titans. So, those of you that tuned in last week or last show will remember that the Lord Zippy Blaine Cook was our special guest, and that he has a fascinating YouTube channel called The Wicker Barn. And he creates all kinds of fancy cocktails.
As well as creating some kick-ass music.
Well, The Accused, anyone? Yeah. So anyway, we had been bugging Blaine. As we always say, we have a freezer full of habaneros up there, and there's just so much you can do with them. We've been bugging Blaine for some hot pepper cocktails. And he put together a wonderful cocktail for us. We now have an outlet for our habaneros, and we decided to make the cocktail and film it and also enjoy it last night. So here's the footage from Stace and I making and enjoying.
You might he's a little better at doing this. So if you don't get the recipe, go over to his channel on YouTube, The Wicker Bar, and watch this episode to get the full thing.
Yep, exactly. So here's, I'll segue into, so here's Stace and I making Blaine's cocktail. Don't touch your eyeball.
Which I always do. But we also, I saw this at the store. It was a cucumber jalapeno tequila, so I could not get that.
We were all over that.
So those were the only changes we made, Blaine.
Yes, okay.
All right, so
So walk us through it, Karen.
okay, so this is our habanero that I've already started to cut into smaller pieces. And per Blaine's instructions, we're gonna muddle it a little bit. Get it going. By the way, they had no idea what the holy hell we were talking about at the liquor store when we asked for a blueberry shrub.
Shrub is apparently a Northwestern thing.
Or just, I don't know. When I Googled it, it said I could get it at Home Depot, but I think it meant a different kind of blueberry shrub.
Yeah, we didn't need a garden growing in our drink. So.
All right, so I'm adding in
habanero pepper.
habanero pepper.
This could be like the greatest day of my life, or possibly the beginning of the end.
This could be the trip to the emergency room.
Absolutely.
All right, and we're going to go with 2 ounces of our cucumber jalapeno
Tequila.
All right, so that's.
I'm more excited about this than watching like the U.S. win the Olympics or anything. I mean, this is.
All right, so we need 1 ounce of concentrate.
This was fucking hard to find too.
Well, that's because we didn't know what we were doing. But we know we're slowly learning. It's been a long time since I was a bartender. Many years. As you can see.
That was great.
A little overshot that. All right, we want 1 ounce of lime.
Okay.
And 1 ounce of, I had to make homemade shrub, which I made.
Homemade shrub.
Yeah, so.
How much would you pay at this point?
We've got a whole bowl if anybody would like some.
This ends tonight.
Ends tonight!
This ends tonight.
All right, and then.
What about this stuff?
This is simple syrup, so we need half an ounce of that. Okay, and that's it, and we should give it.
It's a dirty shake, which means.
Dirty shake. Because we're not straining it.
We're not straining it.
So give it a little bit of a. I don't have any great twirling things, unfortunately.
Well, not unless you go to our Patreon page and then we get the. Sorry.
My daughter did used to work for the Tilted Kilt, and they made them do this at the table. Wonder why.
I've had some of the greatest business arguments at the Tilted Kilt.
Alright, so should we strain or not to strain?
I said strain. Just don't strain yourself.
Alright. These were my grandmother's glasses, by the way. And I inherited.
And at this point, we're going to move the party to the podcast. So, the genius that you see behind us has concocted habanero drinks for us.
Our great, wonderful teacher of the Wicker Bar,
Yes.
Lord Zippy Blaine, has recommended this for us. So we made a few modifications, a little bit of homemade shrub.
Yes.
Sounds kind of weird. But
You want, darling? Here's to you.
Eve.
Absolutely.
See what you think. There's definitely heat.
Wow.
There's heat.
There's fruit and heat.
Fruit,
I like it.
Heat. Yeah.
As I
that kind of
said
lingers.
previously, this could be the beginning of the end for me.
Thank you
That's
so
really
much
good.
for teaching us. Keep tuned to the Wicker Bar, and I'm sure we're gonna learn how to make quite a few other trips to the emergency room.
Look at that badass in that Exodus shirt behind us. I mean, he is the man. And this is extremely tasty.
Very good. My compliments to the chef, Sir Zippy Blaine.
Absolutely.
It definitely has some heat.
Woo! Great. We have found a way to use all the mountains of habaneros that we have. Wow. But good though.
Good, but
Good hot. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is see you guys in the emergency room type of drinks right here. It is. Oh my
maybe
god.
we could whip some of these up prior to our New Year's Eve outing. We might need them for the firehouse.
we said shrub, and the guy at Total Wine was like, well, you know, there's hippies in the Northwest. I mean, I'm like, is that a no? So you don't have it, you know.
Well, Google said that Whole Foods might have it, but I also didn't believe it because it told
I
me
don't
that
believe it.
Home Depot had it, and I
They
really
would
don't
they
think
would
Home
direct
Depot
you.
has
You would put in, yeah, take me to home, you know, to
right.
Whole Foods, and it would say, this will be approximately 2,700 miles. It would take you to the Whole Foods in like Eugene, Oregon. Or
But it
something.
was pretty easy. I just took blueberries and I mulled them down. I added in some apple cider vinegar, some sugar, a little honey. I mushed the blueberries in one place, and then I cooked the rest of the mixture in another, added just a touch of ginger, which I think I can almost taste in here, and then dumped the whole thing over the blueberries and just let it
Oh,
set.
so he's adding his jalapenos right now.
Well,
This is amazing.
The recipe also said that I should let it sit in the fridge for 3 to 4 days. So thank goodness we had a DeLorean and I was able to go back 3 or 4
A
days.
lot of people don't have that, but
We
luckily,
did. It's fine.
luckily we've invested in the show for you. So
Yeah, I've done that with other recipes where I'm ready to make them and it says soak the beans for 2 days. I'm like,
we're gonna go back in time on that. It's so good.
or don't put the potatoes in the refrigerator where they've been sitting ever since I brought them home.
Whatever you do, don't keep them in the fridge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
You
this
guys
is great.
do you keep your potatoes in the fridge?
I am on fire in the best possible way. This is great.
Yeah, that's intense. That's like a fire in a circus. That is intense. I like it.
Yeah.
Very dangerous. Woo!
Yeah.
I feel like right
So
now.
you ever I used to have a boss that was like this. You ever go out to eat with someone who's a heat wimp,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they order like, I don't know, something that is just like a 2, you know, a 2 on a 10 scale.
Right.
Like the KFC sriracha sandwich or something. And they're just like, oh, I need water. Oh, and you're like, really? Give me a break, okay?
Oh,
My
we
4-year-old can handle this.
We
Come
went
on.
to a place when we were in Seattle still called Taco Time.
Yeah.
And they had a habanero burrito. It was very disappointing. There was nothing hot. It was good tasting. There was just nothing hot
to
about
us, you go for the H word. It's we're expecting a flamethrower. And I mean, it was good. The food was okay. What the hell about better than the food in Houston?
He pours so much better than I do. I must practice.
Look at that man. He's just, he's an artisan, is what it is. Yeah. That's like when I watch the guys that are doing this screen printing and they're like, all right, screen 6, screen 7, screen 8. And I'm like, what? Screen 1? What? My shit didn't come through. Where do I back it up? Back it up.
I do that every time I watch something on YouTube, like how to do something. Like how to put air in my tires or how to snake a toilet. I actually learned that on there. I had to be like, wait. Remember when we were watching we were going to see if we could fix the Fiat when my window fell down.
Saying? Guys.
Yeah. The guy on the video just keeps going, okay, guys. Okay. Guys.
Step 29, step 31. And we're like, oh, no, not doing 31 steps to get the fucking door.
It was so many okay guys. He had guy Tourette's. I don't know what was going on.
That was no good. Yeah.
No.
And that's the really good thing about YouTube is because I don't like to fuck. Like, I don't mind messing with plumbing and electrical, but I don't like to fuck with the ride. But I will watch YouTube. I'll be like, all right, can I replace this bulb that went out? And when they're like, because they always act like, oh, anyone can do this, right? And then when they're like, all right, after you dismantle this 4th layer of the car, I'm like, no. Firestone is going to do this for me for $20. No, I am not going to take 17 layers of the car apart for 1 bulb. No, thank you.
Horrible.
No, that's not going to work for me.
But this worked well.
Mm-hmm.
So we encourage you to try your own.
Mm.
Hit at us in the comments. Come at us.
This is so good.
Hit us in the comments.
Wish I could put these flavors out there for you to taste. But my God, they're so good.
Yeah,
the heat and the sweet is so great.
For those fans of heat and sweet, I would definitely recommend.
And Bonded by Blood, come on. It's one of the top 10 thrash albums ever made. Come on. I mean, we all know this. Come on. I think he wore that just for us.
So from us here on the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll and
This
Extreme
has been-
Decay podcast. This has been Making Cocktails.
This has been cocktails that make your mouth melt with Mark and Stace.
See you in the emergency room.
That drink turned out almost too good.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was.
We're going out tonight for New Year's Eve, and I have a feeling that everything I drink, I'm going to be like, not as good as Blaine's drink. Not as good as Blaine's drink.
It was.
He may have
perfect.
ruined it
There's
for me.
That little bit of heat.
The heat with the fruit is just, I would have never thought I would have liked that, but it is so good.
If it had ginger and vinegar in it, it was quite eclectic.
And it was absolutely sissy swan pink how it came out, which is fine.
It's fuchsia.
Fuchsia. Okay, there we go. All right, why don't you introduce the next Dawn of Ashes song?
All right, let's get back into it and play some more Dawn of Ashes. This is from their latest offering, Scars of the Broken. This is Love is Asphyxiation. It's a shun.
And very tender.
Our sponsor this week is Home Chef. This is a meal service that comes right to your door. You can go online, pick your meals. You can pick 3, you can pick 5. We usually get 3. They tend to make a lot, and we have leftovers.
I got those sliders we had this week.
They're really good.
I actually, there was one left in some of the fries, and I forgot about it. And we're in there for a couple of days. Oh my God, that was like finding that $10 bill in your pocket. It was so great. Oh, delicious.
Really, really good meals there. In fact, I think for New Year's, I ordered the steak. Their steak is so good. It's so thin and so tender. And it's steak and fig and Swiss sandwiches.
And the steak's not,
There's stuff that you would never.
the steak's not fucking $30 a pound like it is in some of the grocery stores. It's ridiculous.
No.
Who's buying that? My theory is that no one does. And then it gets down to the day before it's going to go bad, and they slap that quick sale sticker on it. And then everybody pays regular price of like $10 a pound.
Well, they do have different levels now. I usually go, I like to cook, so I go with the level where they just basically send you, if you need a zucchini, you get a zucchini. You get a carrot, you dice it up.
If you need a zucchini, you get a zucchini. Okay.
Potatoes.
If you need the peppers, you get to the peppers.
If they're making sliders, they include the little buns. But I'm sure some of you out there saying, I'm vegan, or I like meat alternatives. Guess what? Every one of their meals comes with, you can select options. So like, oh, great, I like this recipe, but I'd like to include impossible meat. Done. I like this, but my family's coming, so double the meat. They have all kinds of great options. Plus, they have other options where it's oven ready. So if you don't like to cook, or if you're short on time, these are also an option. They literally are ready to pop in the oven.
I like chicken, but my hair's messed up.
So get on over to our link. It will save you $30 off your first box with Home Chef. And I will warn you, they are addictive.
It's the sound. The time has come for wax of contrition. And I dug really deep to get something really filthy for you all this week. Something totally heathen.
What the hell is that?
This is not the album that I planned to show on the Wax of Contrition, but The Baby's Broken Heart is it's a good album. It is.
I think they're wearing makeup, like blush and lip gloss.
I'm going to play some of that at the end of the show, just to torture y'all. Anyway, so as I was saying, something really filthy for this week. So I went with the Canadian Masters Blasphemy. The album is Fallen Angel of Doom. This was the first war metal album I ever owned on a shitty Maxell cassette. I'll be showing you this colored vinyl beauty as we speak. You want to talk about Blasphemy a little bit?
Blasphemy was actually formed way back in 1984. They're a Canadian black metal band based in Vancouver, British Columbia. They released their demo titled Blood Upon the Altar in 1989, and their debut album, Fallen Angel of Doom, shortly followed.
I read a review, and the review said, the guitar sound on this record is ragged like my girlfriend's cunt. 10 tracks of bad intros, off-time percussion, jagged ends sticking out in every direction. Nothing is synthetic here, just evil over-the-top cuts like hoarding of evil vengeance. seesaws of speed, slop drums, primitive riffing. Goddess of Perversity is one of my favorite war metal songs ever. Anyway, but you were giving some background. Sorry.
No. They're done some spotty appearances as of late, but kind of up in the air if they're coming back. Hopefully they will come out with some new stuff because they've just actually been doing kind of almost reunion shows at different festivals.
No blasphemy, no black witchery, no blasphemy, no archgoat. No blasphemy, no destroyer 666, I say. Anyway, so read off the names of the guys in the band. This is great.
I love these names. Nocturnal Grave Desecrator and Black Winds does the vocals and the bass and sometimes guitars.
Nocturnal Grave Desecrator wasn't just enough. He needed one more. And Black Winds.
Maybe he has really bad farts. I don't know.
He had to make it into a sentence.
Caller of the Storms on guitars. Death Lord of Abomination and War Apocalypse. Again, not just enough to be the Death Lord of Abomination. On guitars. And 3 Black Hearts of Damnation and Impurity on drums.
When bands do this, I always want to be like behind the scenes, like the fly on the wall, because I always, there's a guy that's like, just Mike. Mike's fine. And they're like, oh, no. 3 Black Hearts of Damnation and Impurity. And Jerry. No, doesn't work. Doesn't work. And I also love, we should do more on this. I love when you go on Metal Archives and you're looking at pictures of the band and like one guy didn't dress up. I love that because it's always like kind of like your cross country picture.
Oh, it was horrible. There's a picture in one of my high school yearbooks. So of course, I was on the cross country team.
It's going up on Patreon. I'm putting it up.
I forgot my uniform, that it was picture day, and I guess they didn't have a spare.
It's really obvious.
Everyone's in uniform, and I'm in a Great Adventure t-shirt. I'm looking like I want to crawl through the floor.
Oh, it's great. Oh, it's so great. Anyway, all right, so let's play a song from Blasphemy. I guess I'll do Hoarding of Evil Vengeance. Let this lawn mow your mind. Okay, so if you thought that was bad, we're going to move on to something else that makes Blasphemy sound like meowing kitty cats, I'd say. Let's see if I can find it here. This record.
No! Put it away!
All right.
Oh my God.
The band is
State Agents.
The band Con 8 was an American drone doom supergroup that brought together James Plotkin and Alan Dubin, 2 members of the defunct band Old, as well as Tom Wiskita of Fly Idiot God and Manbird, as well as the incomparable Stephen O'Malley of Burning Witch and Sun. This was the worst music that someone had ever heard. I ran out and got this.
The Discord in this is up with Shag's level at times.
This is an extreme metal version of Shag's, I would say. Someone called it Gollum Core because he screams like that. Yeah, it's so awesome. This must be heard.
The songs are usually around the 10-minute mark, sometimes longer.
Yeah. This is horribly painful doom. This will clear a room out.
Slow tempos layered with like this harsh feedback, and then of course the shrieking.
Yeah, and there'll be these weird like almost 3 or 4 minute segments of just screaming. There's segments with no drums, just tortured screams. This is extreme music, people. We're gonna play a song that is surprisingly called what?
No joy. There is no joy.
Not within 10 miles of this shit.
And apparently no joy in the band either, because they split up in 2006.
Yeah. But I still have this heavy beauty of mine.
And Plotkin stated it was a lack of commitment from certain members. Sounds like
certain bands break up way early too.
Sounds like there might have been a little bit of discord and more than the music there.
Yeah. Okay. Behind us, you see some truly horrible footage from the Dawn of Ashes video. They're all like this. Here's a good one. Here's what I was thinking of. So a lot of the YouTubes, when you click on them now, when it's this violent or there's sexual content, it'll say verify that you're over 18.
Oh my god.
Which is ridiculous. But you know what they should do? They should ask you like trivia questions. It should be like you have 5 seconds. What's the third Pearl Jam album called? Oh, is it Versus? You know, to prove that you're old enough to know. You know. I don't know. Anyway, back to this. Look at this lovely imagery behind us. I love this.
Yeah,
oh, look at the upside down cross. Awesome.
Love. Again, an extremely visual
The
band.
attention to detail. Upside down cross, high heel stilettos. I mean, the man is a genius.
Fishnets for days. I love it.
Yeah. So, this interview, Kristof has been there and done that with just about everything related to heavy metal, horror, blasphemy, evil. He is the man. We cover a wide range of topics. It's great.
Oh, and he's, quite the Renaissance man, as well as keeping Dawn of Ashes going with fresh, wonderful music that will it's just that wonderful blend of growly and danceable. It's amazing. Also, he does his own stuff on the side. He has his own ambient project, which we'll talk about, as well as his kind of own blasphemous music side projects. And he also does production for other bands. He's a busy guy.
This video reminds me of that scene from Ferris Bueller when she goes, "If I was bleeding out my eyes, you wouldn't let me stay home. This is so unfair." Because he actually is bleeding out his eyes. Anyway, so this is the interview. Check it out.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
I can't tell you the amount of times we're like, "Are you coming?" They're like, "Oh, shoot, I'll be on in 10 minutes. Hold on, I'm changing my shirt." Like,
I'm in my car, right? Yeah.
It's like, it's not that big a deal.
Time.
we have interviewed a man drinking a beer in a hammock. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Well, we have become big fans of Dawn of Ashes. The concept originally was the production horror, like that dark electronic music characterized by like this samples from horror films. What were the films that first inspired you?
I mean, I've been a horror fan since I was 4 years old. So, I mean, there's definitely films that stick out a lot. And I would say a lot of John Carpenter films, In the Mouth of Madness, The Fog, Hellraiser, Pumpkinhead. There's so many. The Alien movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can keep going because there's just too many.
Yeah, I recently got into some Clive Barker books. He wrote a kid's book called The Thief of Always that would have scared my pants off if I was little.
Oh, yeah.
It's really dark. It's really
Good
good,
book.
but it's really dark. Great read.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Have you ever had a movie or book so dark that you literally had to put it down for a little while and walk away from it?
There was a few. I think there was a Stephen King book that kind of got to me at some point.
And I know The Shining. I literally had to look at the behind the chair. It's like, ah.
Yeah.
I had to put the Talisman down for a while. Yeah, that was something. Yeah.
I love your guys' sound now. I love the industrial with the growly. Have you ever considered putting like some clean vocals and some growly together?
I mean, I feel like I did some of that on Scars of the Broken and then on the Anathema album. I mean, full-blown singing, I mean, it was been in consideration, but I feel like what I do as a vocalist kind of it meshes well with the type of music that I create.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love the way you stalk, but we've never seen you live. We hope to someday. But I love your stalk. At the beginning, it's awesome. Nobody stalks quite the way you do. How big are your shoes, though?
I mean, it depends. I've worn some pretty crazy tall platform boots before on stage.
I was looking at those. I'm like, man, that's a mean stalk for those shoes.
Yeah.
I'd be worried I'd go badonk.
Yeah.
I've definitely had different ones in the past.
Every time I wear something like that, I end up having to chase my daughter. I'm like, these are not for running.
Yeah, it's definitely a talent to wear them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it looks like you have an amazing studio. Do you have any favorite new synth toys to play with?
I mean, I'm really into Eurorack modules. I literally just bought a new module yesterday. So I mean, um, probably any of my Eurorack stuff.
That's awesome. And I noticed, okay, like when your stuff translates to live, I was watching some live video of Love is Asphyxiation, and you had 2 drum kits. What was the reason for that? Or do you always?
Well, I mean, we are a hybrid of metal and industrial, with extreme metal and industrial. So there's electronic drums and real drums. So I kind of want to have that live feeling on stage. So I like to have both an electronic drummer and an acoustic drummer. Plus, it just gives more of a live feeling on stage.
It's really something.
Yeah, that's an amazing. I like that. I was like, wait, is that 2 drum kits? That's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, really cool.
You need a big stage though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For your studio work, does that convert easily to that live type situation, or is there a lot you need to finagle?
I mean, we do a lot of backing track on stage, obviously. I mean, when we have crazy orchestras going off, and you can't, keyboardists can't play every single part. So there's a lot of stuff that's backtracked when we're on stage.
Yeah, I really was like amazed at like a lot of the pre-production. Do you do it with other people, or is it mostly you doing the recording and then later you do with live musicians?
No, I write everything besides the guitars. So I usually have a guitarist and I dictate how I want the guitars to sound, but everything else is I write it.
You've had a lot of guitarists in the band. Do you have any stories about what the fuck are you doing type stuff? Like guys that show up that don't own their own guitar, or guys that show up late, or I mean, you must have stories. You don't have to name names.
Tons of stories of
How long does he have?
Just
past musicians.
Names, give us something. Give us.
I mean,
if
you look up the history of ex members that have been in this band, there's a reason why. Either they can't deal with me, or I can't deal with them. So I mean, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of stories of some interesting people who have been in this band.
You have a lot of care in your intros and your outros. What's involved in kind of setting up a perfect song for you?
I guess it depends, because every album has a different piece of my personality or my emotions, and I feel as of now, Scars of the Broken is probably my baby when it comes to albums, because it had a lot to do with some deep emotional stuff that I was going through. So I feel like, to me, the best song that is written is dictated by the emotions. So, and I feel like that's what starts creating the actual structure of the song, the sound. There's a lot of songs on that album where without the emotions, it wouldn't be the same song.
Like, you have so much confessionalism in your stuff. I was it's like Anne Sexton level confessional. Has anyone ever come up to you and said, hey, I was really going through a bad patch and you were going through what I was going through, and it helped me through that emotional state? It's almost therapeutic.
Yeah, I get it all the time. I mean,
that's great.
I have fans writing to me all the time. I've seen it while performing on stage. And the part about the Scars of the Broken is I didn't write the album for anybody else. I did it for myself. But for some reason, it well, not for some reason, I know why it had an impact on fans, people that can relate to kind of the same topics that I've went through. And you know, when I hear about how, especially the last album, how it created some spark in them because they could relate to it, you know, it's a good feeling that you know, for me growing up, music was always something I can go to relate to. It was an outlet. So it's great to have, you know, younger fans or even fans that are, you know, older, who use Dawn of Ashes as an outlet to help them for whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
I think that's so important with our mental health crises, to have an outlet like yours, you know, that's artistic expression that people can relate to. It's so important. You know, if they're not getting help.
Some people, wherever they are, they don't have anything besides music.
Yeah.
And that's important.
There's got to be times where if people tell you that your music helped them get through a hard time, there's got to be a certain level where you say, this was worth all the shit I went through to make this music, you know?
Right. I mean, even now, I mean, there's certain, even my own music gets me through shit sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I loved when you were talking about the pandemic and that it was the gateway to showing the true colors of the human race. I kind of like to refer to it as apocalypse for beginners, and I think we flunked. But what did you think, like, was the outcome of all this, that the true colors that we didn't do so well with all of this, or fear factor?
It's funny because I keep thinking about the pandemic and the whole 2012, when everybody thought the world was going to end.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and they always talked about it after that, it wasn't that the world was going to end, it was that it was the end of something and to become the beginning of something else. And I feel like that was actually the pandemic. I felt like it created an opening to show how fucking awful people are. And it showed people how to be okay to be alone. I don't know. It created a gateway to so many different things. It's like, for me, when all the shit hit the fan, I just turned everything off and I focused on myself. And a lot of people were freaking out about that.
Oh yeah.
They were freaking out that they couldn't be alone and alone with themselves. They couldn't see other people. And I feel like a lot of people need that.
Yeah, I think introverts had the leg up during the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm an introvert, so I'm a very like at-home person. So I was like, this is amazing.
I'm okay with this. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not amazing that people are dying and all this other fucked up shit was going on, but right. I mean, that's the human race, you know?
I think a lot of people that I saw, you know, I was working in a restaurant back then when we all got shut down, and then we were just doing carry out and it was ridiculous. But when we opened back up, anybody who was minorly crazy, it had escalated up here where they were screaming, there was a woman in the bathroom without a mask on. You need to fumigate it. I'm like, really? Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go in with my Lysol. Okay.
Yeah. It just showed people acting like worse than like animals. Like we just started becoming, I don't know, just there's just things I saw and I'm just like, really, this is what you people have. And I don't know if it's that they became this or it's just always been there and it's just been kind of stuck inside them, and this just kind of like let it out for them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I was taking carry out to somebody's car and they told me to put it on the ground and back away. I'm like, this has become a hostage situation. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I already knew from the internet that there were guys that didn't have a car, but they had a lethal snake living in their bathtub.
Oh my God.
Like I knew that was there, you know, But the
Right.
pandemic seemed to take even that to the next level.
Yeah.
But
It's
I'm
like
like,
when
all right, it was better when I didn't know about you, but now I
it's
know.
like when
and
the riots were going on, and it's just like hypocrisy was so like in everybody's face, and people were just so blind by it, because it's like one side was saying like this is right while someone's acting like a hypocrite doing the same thing that they're against. And that's what I kept seeing over and over and over with people, is people thinking that they're doing the right thing while doing the wrong thing at the same time.
it was like the end of days.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. I also loved when you were talking about when you couldn't perform, and you likened, the hunger and addiction to like that of like a serial killer, like your level to perform. I love that. And it's like Dexter. You ever seen Dexter with the Dark Passenger?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, do you think, it would be kind of akin to that? Like it's like a need?
Yeah, you're talking about performing or just like
Just
my
just
creativity?
performing. Like, it's a catharsis or a need or a want.
I think my whole foundation of me being in Dawn of Ashes, and even just how many years, I mean, I created Dawn of Ashes back in 2001. And so I think we're going on like 22 years now, or something like that. There's been a lot that has happened through those years. And there's so many times that I just wanted to pull the plug. But every time there's one time I did. And when I did, I felt completely lost. And it's just like this hunger kept starting to grow and grow and grow. And even after this last tour we did, I didn't want to perform anymore. I didn't even want to do Dawn of Ashes anymore. But just something in me just kept telling me that I got to keep going and going and going. And that's why I kind of put the whole like mentality of serial killers with my thinking process when it comes to Dawn of Ashes, is because it's like this uncontrollable hunger.
Yeah.
That you don't know why it's happening, but it's there.
That's do you have a favorite serial killer? Because God knows I do.
Yeah, I have a few. I mean, I like Dennis Nielsen. Dennis Nielsen, is that how you pronounce his last name? Ed Gein. Some serial killers that probably no one's heard of. I don't know.
She's pretty good. She's pretty good. She's surprisingly
I used to have this
knowledgeable.
encyclopedia of serial killers. I think it was in the 90s, and I would just like read it in the car and just read the most fucked up shit that these serial killers would do.
It's so fascinating with their need, and yet the ability to, like, a lot of them could live a double life and be Family Guy over here and like killing people over here, like like the Florida State Killer. It was crazy.
I find that exhausting.
Killer.
I find that exhausting. I could never do that. My God, I can't even like keep the podcast stuff separate from my job. People are like, why is your hair red? I'm like, whatever. Question for you. So you've lived in LA your whole life, or for most of your career, right?
Yeah, I've been back and forth from Los Angeles and New York.
It's expensive to live there. I remember reading an interview with Tommy Stinson, and when he said that he got so sick of living in LA, he was living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and he ended up paying the same as when he moved to upstate New York and was able to buy a ranch for the same amount of money. I mean, does it ever grind on you that it's so expensive there? And
yeah, there's a lot of downfalls of LA that I don't like, but there's also other good things about it.
Okay.
I mean, if I had a choice to not live in LA right now, I probably wouldn't. So at some point, I don't want to live in LA, but at the moment, this is where I live.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, my daughter lives in DC.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's 28, and they pay $4,000 for an apartment
per month.
per month.
Per month. Yeah.
I'm like,
Wow.
what? Okay, sure.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
So
Definitely is.
you are a confessed synth and Eurotrack nerd. What were your favorite tracks and things that might be surprising?
Like stuff that I've done, or just in general.
That you like.
I mean, I like a lot of random type of music. I'm pretty kind of all over the place when it comes to what I like as far as music goes. I used to be more of an elitist probably when I was younger, but now I'm kind of. Are you talking about synth music or just random type of music?
Just any type of music.
I mean, I can go from listening to black and death metal to Elvis to Justin Timberlake to, Depeche Mode. Like I said, I'm pretty all over the place. I love soundtracks. I mean, that's a huge inspiration for me. I'm in another project called Void Stasis. It's dark ambient, and that's one of my favorite genres. So I do a lot of dark ambient music. But I can't just listen to one genre of music all the time. It would I did that for a while with like black and death metal, and it just got to a point where I was like, fuck, I gotta listen to something else. Like
Understood.
Yeah, I think we confuse Spotify because we're all over the place. There are days it's black metal, there are days it's industrial, there are days, so it's all over the place. So I think that's a good thing, to have a lot of open avenues, and
especially as a musician. Like, I feel like if you're a creator and you're just listening to one type of music for inspiration, it's just limiting yourself to the possibilities of being inspired to incorporate other stuff into your music.
I got a question for you. So do you think that I refuse to personally, I refuse to stop enjoying Marilyn Manson, and I hate what's happening with the whole trying to cancel him. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Thing about everything, and I've noticed it with the whole cancel culture thing, is all of a sudden all the stuff just comes out into the light, and you don't know really what is true and what is not true. But with him, he's always been a controversial musician. Like, it just seems kind of funny that everybody's kind of like jumping on the bandwagon with like pointing fingers at him, where it's just like, you don't know why all of a sudden now. Why didn't they say anything back then?
Right.
Like, I've had stuff towards me. I'm gonna get there's rumors about me, and none of them are true. Well, I mean, there's some things that may be twisted, but there's certain things that are just straight up not true that have been about me. And I think it just comes with the territory of either being an actor or a front man, being in the spotlight at all.
Yeah.
That you're an easy target.
Right.
And it's like, if you've done one fucked up thing in the past, people can make up stuff and everybody's going to believe it because you did this one thing back a long time ago. So
there's no intellectual argument. It's just cancel him, and I think there should be debate,
Honestly, I don't know what's true. I mean, there was that one really fucked up musician who got arrested for like child pornography, and he like literally, no, not R. Kelly. He was like in some like screamo band or something. He's like the biggest piece of shit on the planet, but he straight up came out and he kept saying stuff that he was doing this type of stuff.
Wow.
And that's someone that deserves it. But I don't know what's up with Marilyn Manson. I'm not going to stop listening to his music because because something might have happened, Right. So until I see the facts and everything, I'm not.
Understood.
All right. So we have a little game that we play. It's random questions with Stace, which is me. I have questions numbered 1 through 85. So I want you to pick 5 numbers at random.
5 numbers at random.
Yeah. Between 1 and 85.
Okay. 15. 26. 32. 35 and 41.
All right.
I don't know why I picked that.
We had to keep randomizing these because people kept picking the same numbers, but you're very different, so that's great.
That's true.
Number 15. What do you look forward to every day?
I think it's just kind of being at peace, just within myself.
It's an important piece of every day.
That was a very long, pregnant pause on that question, by the way. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things, but I mean, I think that's the number one thing that I feel like everybody should be looking forward every day, because without that, it just creates, not a stability in your life, and you can't really function.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to work on too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely need to know yourself.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Number 26. What is the first record or CD that you bought for yourself?
Oh my God. CD or cassette tape?
Either, whatever the first piece of music you bought for yourself.
I'll go with CD, and it was what's that Aerosmith album with Eat the Rich?
Get a grip.
Very first CD ever.
I would have never guessed that. See, there you go.
I know. So random.
That's a good thing.
This compact disc technology is so amazing. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, number 32. How similar are you to your parents?
I think I have a piece of each one of them, like my mom and my dad. It's like my mom has really bad anxiety. I have anxiety. My dad has anger problems. I have anger problems.
So it's all bad. It's all bad. Yeah.
No, I mean, there's good things about it. I don't know why that's the first thing that came to my mind.
I'm right there with you. Mine's all bad.
Yeah. My dad's super irritable. So am I.
Yeah. My dad would be ironing in tidy whities at 7 a.m. and I can't get that image out of my head, so.
I just think it's funny because my mom is Catholic and my dad's an atheist. And then there's me.
Did you get to witness any good, theological discussions at like Thanksgiving table or anything? I mean,
well, they're divorced, so I mean.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Enough said. Yeah.
So you fall somewhere in between. All right, 35. How do you take your coffee?
That's a good question. Yeah.
It's funny. I was off coffee for a bit, and now I'm back on it. And I think lately I would just put because I'm vegan, so I'll put just oat milk or almond milk in it.
Okay.
My daughter's become vegan too. It's become a little bit of an adjustment, but I'm getting used to it.
Definitely is.
Yeah. Either this stuff is incredibly expensive or it's not actually vegan. That's
yeah, I bought stuff before for her I thought was safe, and it says on the back it would be
by the way, there's milk in this.
In it.
Like, hello.
I know, like plant-based, and there's eggs in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no. Number 41. What advice would you give your teenage self?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh God. There's like way too many things. I was a really bad kid, and I made a lot of poor decisions. So I think the best advice I can give my teenage self is pause before you do something.
Always good. Instead of jumping to conclusions, which I do all the time.
Just with anything, and just think hard before you make a decision on something.
If I met my teenage self, I'd be like, what an asshole. I don't even want to talk to this.
I'd probably
Jesus
bitch slap
Christ.
my teenage self, to be honest.
Be like, I don't even waste my time with this fucker.
So going back to Scars of the Broken, I really loved the lyrics where it's like 4 a.m. and the anxiety won't leave. Oh my God, that spoke to me because it's in the middle of the night that it's always like your problem seems so much bigger. Why do you think that happens at that time of night? Is it because, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The reason I actually wrote that lyric is during this time that I was really struggling with certain things. Every night I would wake up at 4 a.m. with the worst fucking anxiety.
Oh yeah.
It was just like, but it was always at 4 a.m. It wasn't 4:01. It wasn't 3:39. It was always at 4 a.m. I would just wake up and it was just awful and I couldn't sleep. And I have no idea why it would happen. It's like my brain would just be like, wake the fuck up. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Time to have a fucking panic attack.
Yeah.
It's got to be something to it because even Night Ranger says 4 a.m. came without a warning. It's like got to be something about that name. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Or most people pass away between like 12 and 2. It's the craziest thing. It's got to be some dip in biorhythms.
Yeah.
We need a study on this somewhere.
Right.
So Void Stasis, your dark ambient project you were talking about. The last one was kind of inspired by alien movies. For the cryo chamber one, do you draw from any particular movie or?
Well, both albums. I mean, the new album's coming out in March. So I started this project because I wrote a dark ambient album back in 2010. I self-released it. It wasn't really something I was exactly proud of, but a lot of fans liked it. And I told myself that I wouldn't write another dark ambient album unless I was in the right mood to do it. And I created Void Stasis after I'm a huge gamer. So I was playing this game called Destiny 2. And I came up with the name while playing that. And we decided to do kind of like this sci-fi horror cinematic thing with Eurorack modules and synths. So I don't really know exactly how the aliens xenomorph thing kind of came about, but I'm a huge aliens and Geiger fan that I feel like it just kind of made sense with Void Stasis. So when we actually came to writing the second album that's coming to March, it kind of was more, the theme came out a lot more on this album because the music was a lot darker.
Have you yourself done scores for video games yet?
I've done for trailers for movies, and I'm working towards doing stuff for video games. I mean, that's kind of one of my goals, is to do scoring for video games or more movies. A lot of people think I should be doing that, but it's definitely a hard industry to get into.
You've been on a bunch of labels, including Metal Blade. Like, what are some of your advice to a band in terms of dealing with labels? Indies and bigger ones and whatever.
I mean, I guess it depends on the time, because things have changed so much since throughout the years of Dawn of Ashes, the stages of, coming from the early 2000s to the mid 2000s to, and one of my biggest pieces of advice is lower your expectations, create thick skin, because you're automatically gonna get disappointed. Like, being in the music industry is just, if you go in there being like, oh, I'm gonna be this crazy fucking rock star, I'm gonna make all this fucking money and blah 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 blah, it's just gonna break you down. But if you keep working at it as a career, and have the drive that, I have, then you have a chance of getting somewhere. But you're definitely not going to have a chance if you go into it and then all of a sudden you get broken down and you give up.
Yeah.
So yeah, just going it knowing that it's a shit show.
Yeah, I mean, we interviewed this band a couple weeks ago, and they have amazing music. And I asked, but they also have a big show in their own special effects company. And I asked about streaming money, and she scoffed at me, and she was like, "You don't make any money on the actual music. It's about the format and the show and the presentation." And it just seems so wrong. But I mean, I guess that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I thought that might be good for you guys too. I was like, you know what? He could actually do his own special effects company.
Yeah, the music.
It's funny.
I
was actually
that it should have.
That's what I was going to be before I was going to be a musician. Is I was going to be a special effects person. That's why I know how to do some of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard, and it's a lot harder now. Like since the pandemic, and now that kind of like the after effects of this whole thing, it's gotten even worse. I mean, it's like even and from our status of a band to a bigger status of a band, it's even harder for the bigger ones to even, we're going over, we've been to Europe, we're possibly might tour in Europe, and it's a bitch to get us over. And some of the bigger bands as well. It's rough. It's really hard.
Yeah, it seems like when everything went to streaming, it's just like the artist handed over the keys and just said, "Well, we're not going to make any money anymore." It's terrible.
I just think people are really, people are really focused on just really pointless and stupid shit right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy. I mean, growing up in the '90s, like I like the thrill of going to a record store. Not even like going there for an artist, just kind of looking around and you find like a cool CD with awesome artwork. You don't know who it is, and then all of a sudden you become a fan of this band.
Yeah.
I think that's what I did with Cannibal Corpse, like in like the early '90s. Is I think it was Eaten Back to Life. I just picked up the cover. I was like, this looks cool. And then I became a Cannibal Corpse fan. And I just wish things were like that now. And it's just not. It sucks.
I know, you're right.
Yeah,
I sound like one of those old timers,
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, I remember being on public transit and having that album on the headphones or Cannibal Corpse. And I realized I was singing the lyrics to Fuck with a Knife, and I was being judged by everyone around me because people don't want to eat.
Yeah.
Subway.
I
was like, read your paper. Read your paper. All right.
I remember I was wearing a fucking album, was it? I don't know, it was one Cannibal Corpse album. I had a shirt and I was at the mall, and this was like in the '90s, and these old people came up to me and called me disgusting. And just like walked away, and I was just like,
yeah, I missed that. You know what now? You can wear any kind of dying fetus, whatever, Cannibal Corpse. Now nobody cares. But if you really want to offend people, you have to wear like a political shirt. That's what will get people. Like if you're wearing the T-word shirt, you'll get a reaction. You won't get it from Death
or the
Metal.
Let's Go Brandon. Yeah, then you'll get a reaction.
I mean, how boring is that? And I mean, come on.
No, things are just way different, and it's kind of sad. And
it really is. It really is.
And I keep saying to myself, I'm like, am I becoming one of those old, bitter?
Yeah, I know.
Guys who are
every day I say it. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really think it's that. Because I really think things were a lot more awesome back in the '90s.
What types of project does Bathory Music do? How is that different?
I started, that's just kind of my my production company that which I'm going to be working towards next year. But like I'm releasing my own solo album next year as well. So I kind of want to tie whatever I do, any sort of project that I do, like what you're talking about. If I do video game music or film music, or if I create sample packs, or that it's all tied to my production company. So that's something I'm working towards for 2023.
Oh, that's awesome. I did notice there was no vinyl available on your latest album. Will there be ever?
You can thank Artifact Records for that one.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
so back to labels. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I've noticed a lot of industrial artists. There's not a lot of vinyl. I don't know whether it's. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not going to press complete blame on them. I think there's something going on with vinyl manufacturing right now as far as records go. So I think that's what they were telling me. I don't know really what the full story is.
But we're getting like the album's out on CD and streaming, and the vinyl will be available in 3 months. So I think everything's backed up because like fucking Billie Eilish is getting stuff pressed on vinyl, and she's going to get a priority over a lot of our stuff that we like, so I think that's part of the deal. You don't look like you believe that.
I'm just kind of
I don't work for the label. I'm just telling you what I hear. Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, I already bought the new Rabbit Junk, but I bought it like a month ago, but it won't be out till March. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
If you move 1 million units, you get your vinyl pressed faster. Go figure, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I do have to ask you a question about your makeup, because whenever I do him in corpse paint, he gets itchier than hell, and it makes him crazy. Is it just something you have to get used to? Because I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, it depends on what you're using. I mean, if he's allergic to it, then
I feel like I'm allergic to it. Yeah.
Is there a brand you would recommend?
As far as the white goes?
Yeah.
I mean, you should look at like Ben Eyes.
I'm taking notes here.
Writing this down.
Yeah. Because I feel like I want to keep the black hair separate from the white face, and it's all getting stuck together. And
I mean, it's definitely another form of art on makeup, because I've seen people who just do really bad jobs. But
do you do your own, or do you have someone do yours?
Most of the time, I do my own.
Wow.
If I do a certain photo shoot, I'll have makeup artists. I have really, really good special effects people, but I mean, on tour and everything, I mean, I do my own makeup.
That's awesome. So what's coming up next for you guys as far as, are you doing any, I know you toured last summer. Is there going to be anything else coming up, or?
I know we're playing an industrial festival in Seattle. That's summertime.
It's the perfect place for it. Yeah.
We were just there.
Yeah. It's gloomy all the time. Yeah.
Talks about other events that are coming up. They're not 100% yet, but hopefully they're happening. Kind of everything's kind of up in the air, but.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. So we look forward to seeing you out on the East Coast.
Yeah, I will.
And we'll look for you to come.
Right on. Thank you for having me on.
We'll be there in the front row.
The Sounds of Decay!
Sounds of Decay time. Take it away, Stace.
All right. This is our number 1 Sounds of Decay for this week. This is insight. Now, this is like to incite a riot, not to introspective insight.
You're not at a board meeting and someone says, I like his insights. It's really the opposite of that. You got to point the glasses. Yeah, INCITE from Phoenix. This band has Richie Caballera in it. Anybody know that name? Yeah. Yep. It is very much like a kind of cross between Sepultura and Death Angel. a little grittier than Death Angel, but every bit as tight. Very, very cool thrash. I went right to the guys in Emissary. Who did I say? Mercenary? That's a missionary? That's a missionary. I went right to the guys in Emissary and I said, you guys got to check this out because I know they're Death Angel lunatics. Yeah, Insight is great stuff. Very tight, very thrashy. Richie Cavallera is actually known as the stepson of Max Cavallera, formerly of Sepultura and currently a member of Soulfly and Cavallera Conspiracy.
Another busy guy.
Yeah. And Cavallera Conspiracy, I think I was looking at their tour dates and stuff. I think they're only playing like stuff from the first 4 or 5 Sepultura albums, the stuff that really kicks ass. Everything else nobody wants to hear ever. It should not be played ever. So. Anyway, let's play a song. This is Built to Destroy.
Sounds of Decay, number 2 for this week. This is Ingested. This is an English death metal band from Manchester. Formed in 2006, the band consists of vocalist Jason Evans, guitarist Sean Hines, and drummer Lynn Jeffs. This is their 6th studio album, Ashes Lie Still, that was released just this past November 2022.
Fresh metal. There's twinges of slam death on this, which is a genre that I've struggled to really get into, but there's some female vocals that are laced into this. There's some atmospheric stuff that's laced into this. There's a lot more to this than just typewriter drums and guttural vocals. I mean, there's some depth to Ingested. There really is.
Yeah.
And this fucking artwork is so cool. So let's play a song. Why don't you introduce it?
This song we selected for you is Shadows in Time.
Okay, Sounds of Decay number 3. Now, this is a band that we just recently went and saw with Matt Harvey and Exhumed. They were one of the opening bands, SQL Grind.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
And from New England. Who would have thought this kind of sound could come out of New England?
They are. The singer, what's her name? Katarina. Again, I think she weighs about 19 pounds.
Ekonomu, I think it is.
And her mic went out and she just like kind of threw it aside and just started screaming and was able to pitch her voice to compete with the crazy drums and guitar. I was very impressed.
Yeah, and she is such a ball of energy, and I noticed this with Kristof as well in his live performances. She stalks up and down that stage.
She owns it. She owns it. Yeah. I definitely recommend go check this band out live. They will blow your mind. SQL Grind.
They're also a little different on the lyrics for this kind of music. They actually draw from like history and philosophy, women's rights. They actually use things from thinkers like Plato and John Locke. Yeah. Their name actually translate to mean school grind.
Still a little bit more depth to it than just screaming about Charles Manson for 30 seconds, And
incidentally, this powerhouse little vocalist, Katarina, is by trade an architect.
Wow. Well, this song we're going to play is from their second full-length album that just came out this year. It's called Memory Theater.
Really good.
The song is called, maybe this is an architecture throwback. The song is called Endowed with Windows. Okay. It would seem that we have come to the end. 'Tis a shame. This was so fun. We talked about hot pepper drinks. We actually consumed hot pepper drinks live.
We talked about left-handed compliments.
Yes, we did.
Or well-veiled insults.
Yeah. You guys have a nice show. I mean, it's not Joe Rogan or anything.
What a great show. This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to Kristof from DOA for appearing on the show. Check out their latest album, as well as their huge back catalog. Scars of the Broken is their latest offering on Artifact Records. They have, obviously, YouTube, Spotify. Get over there, give them some likes. Also, a special thanks to the Lord Zippy Blaine Cook of the Accused AD toe tag, and especially the Wicker Bar for the great habanero cocktail recipe. We are forever indebted. The Snaggletooth theme, courtesy of Kristof Jord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme, courtesy of Steve Rathbone from Lair of the Minotaur. Decay bands, check them out as well. Escala Grind, Insight, Ingested. All content, this might be 2023. All content 2023, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
Give me your love, babe.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
Give me your love.